What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing well today. My name is Raphael Garcia, and it is Wednesday, April 10th, and I am back for episode 17 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. I want to say thank you, first and foremost, for taking the time to listen to our content today. We are going to be talking about WrestleMania 35 and the weekend that I had going to my first week WrestleMania event. And I'm saying we as in it was more than me on this podcast. No, this is just about my experience. And but as always, thank you for taking the time to listen to our content here. You can subscribe to our channel at MMA Ratings on YouTube. You can check us out there where we do this show every week and also the MMA Ratings podcast, which is focusing on mixed martial arts. That is on Thursday with myself and Shawan Humes, usually about 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can catch us there. Check out some of our older content from the past weeks, months, and years, and you can hit the subscribe button to support us there. Like any videos that you watch, and please be sure to share them across your social media channels. And of course, to go along with that, you can catch us on Instagram and Twitter at MMA Ratings Net on both platforms. And for myself, you can catch me at rgarcia_sports, where I'm usually talking about a whole gamut of different topics. One of the big ones that's been on my mind right now is gentrification going on in DC. But that's another conversation for another day. But with that in mind, I wanted to look back at the WrestleMania 35 weekend. Yesterday marked the end of WrestleMania week because SmackDown Live ended. And boy, was there a lot to take in, not only within the WWE content, but across the whole professional wrestling industry from starting on, I think, Wednesday of last week up through last night. Now, in reference, I already did my preview on WrestleMania. I did that last week. The week before, I did a preview on WrestleMania week itself, looking at non-WWE events. And this week, I want to kind of take a step back and look at my experience of going to WrestleMania. As I've mentioned in the past few weeks, this was my first time going to one, and it was quite the experience for a variety of reasons. And it was a pretty big experience. It was one that caught me off guard, one that I'm glad that I got to experience, one that I got to enjoy for myself. As you know, I brought my tickets probably back in November of this past year. Bought my tickets then, and then decided to go up to the show. So I was originally going to go to a bunch of stuff for all of WrestleMania weekend, but then just decided just to catch WrestleMania on Sunday, hopping up there Sunday, and then coming back. That actually was not what that was my original plan, but I ended up going up a day earlier. So like yeah, it was all good fun because like my family lives right there in New Jersey, which, so to take a step back, this is WrestleMania 35. Everyone was talking about it as if it was in New York City, but it was actually in East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the MetLife, was it Stadium, MetLife Center, whatever the hell it's called. But yeah, it was up in Jersey, so got to visit some family there on a little bit early, and also go to the show on Sunday. So it wasn't that bad of a trip. And my trip back on Sunday was hectic within itself. It was not fun. It was not fun in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, quick little weekend trip, Saturday and Sunday, to go up and see the family, and it was just it was nice and calm, and also to get to take part in what was the biggest WrestleMania event of the biggest wrestling event of the year, and it was definitely the longest WrestleMania event ever. I'm not going to say it was the best. It was a good one, but it was a good one for different reasons. Like I said, I'm not going to recap the entire show. I'm not going to go match by match. I've listened to at least 4 different podcasts that did that, and that was all fun. It was all fun and games, but it was a lot. I want to say it was 17 matches in total, 13 matches, something like that. But this event went on for 7.5 hours in totality. So it was definitely a lot of different events and a lot of different matches, and there was just a lot to kind of take in. So looking back, my experience, if I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say it was a 7. And the reason why I'm going to say that, I want to precursor it by taking out everything that had to do with in New Jersey Transit. If you have not been following the story, New Jersey Transit and the WWE got into a tit for tat over when the show ended, and the fact that New Jersey Transit had shut down their system because they are a union-based organization. So I do not think that they can make workers work after 10:30. And WrestleMania 35 didn't end until almost, what was it, like 12:15 or so, maybe a little bit later than that. So thousands of people were left stranded at MetLife Stadium trying to get back home. And I was one of, I wasn't stranded per se. Like I said, I left before the main event even started. But what was interesting is I was one of the fortunate ones who was able to afford to pay for a cab from MetLife Stadium to Port Authority, which is where I was coming back home. But I want to point out that what I paid was egregious. Uber and Lyft were charging at least $150 to $200 for people to get an Uber or Lyft home. After a couple of maybe about an hour or so, they actually stopped coming altogether because the roads were blocked off. So people were legit stranded. Their buses were not running. I believe that the trains were not running. It was a legit clusterfuck. And if you listen to multiple different podcasts of people who were there, you will hear some horror stories. I think Brian Alvarez was talking about one on the PWI Insider Show this week as well. So it just wasn't fun for anybody. I myself got caught up in that. I was lucky to find a cab driver that was willing to take me to New York to catch my bus back. But that was, man, I'm never doing that again. But with that in mind, I want to talk about some of the highlights of the show, some of the lowlights, and my, I guess, top takeaways. So, of course, the biggest highlight to me was Kofi Kingston winning the title. He becomes the first African-born champion in WWE history, and that was a huge moment because you see all these videos popping up of reaction videos of people getting excited, crying, just overall elation when it comes to what they were witnessing. Yes, Kingston is a multiple-time tag team champion, multiple-time intercontinental champion, United States champion. He's done a lot of different things in the organization. But to see a black man, hold that title over his head meant something to everyone involved. Yes, it's still not the primary title. Seth Rollins won that earlier, and we'll talk about that in a second. Yes, The Rock was a big megastar in the WWE, but that's a whole nother conversation as well. Maybe I'll deal with that next. But seeing Kingston win the title and hold it over his head, seeing his son run in, hold the title up, throw out the t-shirt, seeing Xavier crying, Big E crying, Kofi crying, that moment right there is what reminds people of why they enjoy professional wrestling. Yes, it's a scripted sports entertainment. Yes, it has a vast majority of issues with women's rights, homophobia, race relations, treating people as equals, creative being stupid, just being over the hill, just ridiculous. There's, for every one good thing you can probably say about professional wrestling, you could probably list like 10 bad things. I understand that, and I'm not disagreeing with that. But this moment here with Kofi Kingston on Sunday reminds everyone why this is an industry that everybody can enjoy, why it's an industry that catches everyone's eye and it gets everyone excited, because there's no other way of putting it. That was a monumental moment that I hope isn't the last time we see that. There are plenty of men and women, when we talk about the women's divisions, that can hold that can be a star in this organization, that have the talent to be a main champion. You have names like, obviously, Kingston, Big E. I mean, all three of the New Day. They've shown that they have talent to put on good matches and they can play their characters. You have Bobby Lashley with Lio Rush, Ricochet, who's shooting up the roster. You have guys like Apollo Crews, that's vastly underrated, especially with Titus O'Neil by his side. You have people like Mark Henry, who never got the opportunity, Booker T, who never got the opportunity. And then we look at the women. You have Ember Moon, who has not been a champion yet. Sasha Banks and Naomi, they've both been champions, but they've struggled to put together long-term runs, especially when you compare them to the Alexas or the Charlottes or the Carmelas or other white women who have been hoisted up to high positions. They haven't gotten the same opportunities. You see Bianca Belair struggling on NXT when a lot of people have said that she may be the future of the women's division just because she has the physical abilities and she has a great look to go with her. But this moment with Kofi Kingston, I think, highlights the fact that there's so much black talent on the roster that's just being misused. I love the reaction video with the Street Profits. I fucking hate that gimmick. I'll say it again. But the Street Profits, along with Bianca Belair, Josiah Williams, and a couple other people were live watching the show. And that reaction, I mean, Montez Ford, Dawkins, and Bianca immediately almost started crying. Like, Bianca Belair was barely holding it together. There was another video that I saw with MVP and I want to say it was Shad Gaspard of Crime Time, another horrible gimmick. But those two guys broke out in tears, like real legit tears. You saw them trying to fight it back, and then when they looked at each other, the tears just came. That moment meant something to everyone involved, which is why it was so unfortunate when Jim Ross had that statement about race should have never been brought into the storyline, or when you saw so many people belittling Kofi, belittling the storyline that was being developed as if they were nitpicking, trying to find something, trying to find a way to poke holes in that story time and time again, and it just sounded so foolish. That was what made this moment so special, because we finally got to see WWE do something right, and I wrote a piece about this. It's actually up on MMA Ratings now, about this. WrestleMania 35 should be remembered as a time where WWE Creative got the outcomes right, got the narrative right, and they usually struggle with storylines that are nuanced as this. We've seen it multiple times in the past, multiple examples. They struggle with that, but this time they got out of their own way and they put Kofi in a position to succeed. Now, what will the totality of his reign be? I don't know yet. That's another conversation and probably another podcast within itself. Right now, it's looking good. Hopefully, it continues to look good, and I hope that we get something that we enjoy that not only elevates him, but elevates the New Day and also puts faith in a lot of the other black men and women. The black men and women on the roster and the minority competitors as a whole, because minority wrestlers continue to struggle within the WWE. The next moment I want to talk about was obviously Becky winning the titles from Ronda and Charlotte. Now, like I mentioned, I left before this match went on just because I knew it was going to be hell trying to get out of there. But I was watching on the WWE Network as I was waiting and going about my way. Now, everyone was to focus on the botched finish, which, depending upon who you ask, I'm going to stick with Sean Ross Sapp just because I think that he's the best at what he does. That was the finish. Ronda's shoulders were supposed to be down, and the ref shouldn't have kept going through with the count. So I can definitely see that, and I believe the ref was fined for that situation just because of the clusterfuck it's caused after the fact. But I do think that, I don't know. Right now, I am on the fence about how I feel about that main event. I think the crowd was over, and it got us to the destination of Becky holding both titles. But maybe it was because of how long the show was. I mean, it was a 7.5 hour long show. Or maybe it was because the match wasn't that good, per se, from a wrestling standpoint. But the crowd didn't get as hyped as I thought they would. I definitely, I was there at the arena still when she won, and it was loud, but it wasn't like what I thought it would be. And I don't know if that is indicative of the storytelling that was going on with Lynch at the time, or if again if it was indicative of just how long the show was. Lynch is still the biggest name in the organization right now. She is the star. She can go back and forth between Raw and SmackDown and get the same huge reactions that she's been getting. I'm interested in seeing what's next with her because they've already begun pairing her with Lacey Evans, and I've been very open and clear about my issues with Lacey Evans' character. I acknowledge she has a fantastic look that the WWE likes to promote, but her character is not involved, but her character is modeled around some questionable tactics and statements and just delivery. I'm not So many different things are problematic with her gimmick and her character that I'm questioning whether or not it's good to push her the way they are and put her in that position that they think she is the next big thing. You saw her get prime placement at the Royal Rumble this past year, and she hasn't. I mean, I want to say she hasn't been booked strongly, but she's been booked as the featured name on all these shows, even though she hasn't actually wrestled yet. So other than the Royal Rumble, I think she's done NXT matches and all that, but that's neither here nor there. But Becky Lynch winning the title was another very big moment from the WrestleMania 35 showcase this week. Then you had Seth Rollins defeating Brock Lesnar. The thing that I loved the most about this was the delivery, with Hulk Hogan and Alexa Bliss on the stage doing their little shtick or whatever. Paul Heyman walks right by them, doesn't stop and speak to anybody, doesn't even acknowledge any of them, gets in the ring and says, let's get this shit started right now. And Brock comes out, Seth comes out, we get maybe a 5-minute match total, and the crowd's erupting because Seth hits 3 curb stomps and get the win. I mean, personally, I almost thought that Brock was going to kick out one of those, but he took the pin, took it clean. I mean, the dude worked maybe 5 minutes. Only reason why I don't even know if he broke a sweat. Because like I said, I was there, I was watching, I couldn't tell from exactly where I was sitting. But he got in, got out, sold like a motherfucker for Seth, and went about his way. Now we have the Universal title back on Raw, and we have a champion that we know is going to put on some damn near 5-star matches whenever he can. And just the way this was done set the tone for the rest of the show up through Kingston winning the belt. It got people excited. The crowd reaction was massive. I think it was already packed at that time. People were losing their shit. Like, that was huge to me. No, I don't think anyone ever expected. From what I'm hearing or what I'm reading and what I'm hearing on various podcasts, was that AJ Styles and Randy Orton was supposed to start the event, but putting this first was huge, and I think it was the right call to make. And it got everyone excited, got everyone out of their seat. So kudos to whoever made the decision to put this first. I'm glad that Rollins has the title. We'll see who's next. I'm not really sure who's next for either him or Kingston, but I'm looking forward to both of these men having the title. Another highlight for me was Tony Nese versus Buddy Murphy, with Tony Nese getting the WWE Cruiserweight title. I'm not too sure how I feel about Tony Nese as a character, but he definitely is someone that has the physical tools that looks the part. I mean, he has like a 10-pack, the long. He looks like a smaller version of Elias to me. So he definitely fits the mold on the look that people would like to promote. I just don't think he's the character that can be built up around, that 205 Live can be built around. Right now, I think the only person on that roster or on that show that has a character that can be built around them was Buddy Murphy. If you put Leo Rush back on that show, he has a character that can be built around. If you put Adam Cole there, if you put Ricochet there, they have the characters that can be built around those platforms. But I don't think that anyone outside of Murphy that's on 205 Live consistently can be the one to carry that show or have it built around it. But even still, Murphy once again delivers a gem on the pre-show. If you did not see it, I think it started right at like 5:15 or so. If you did not see it, go back and watch it. It was a great match from start to finish. So that was a high for me. I like the fact that the Usos kept the tag team titles, even though they dropped them the next day on SmackDown, or the following day on SmackDown. I'm a big fan of what they did there. I liked what I saw with Samoa Joe beating Rey Mysterio. Mysterio was injured. I think he got hurt. He hurt his ankle with Baron Corbin on Monday before, or Monday or Tuesday, whatever day that was. So this match was like a minute long before Mysterio gets submitted, but it keeps Samoa Joe looking strong, even though he hasn't looked the strongest as of late. So the lows to me, I mean, were numerous. I definitely think there were more lows than there were highs, but the fact that the highs were so high will outweigh them long term when we look back at this event. The women's battle royal was a clusterfuck. I When it got down to the final three of Asuka, Sonya, and Sarah Logan, I liked what I saw there. I figured it was going to be Sonya Deville getting the win, but they went. What they did just with the bait and switch again, where Sarah Logan threw out Asuka, looked like she won. Carmella stepped in and got the win there. And what I need for someone to give me a gif of Carmella when she came out from under the ring and waved at Sarah Logan. That was a hell of a image there, but I need that gif. But Carmella gets the win. I think Carmella's gotten a lot better. She's done some great things with the gimmick that she was given. So I'm not too mad at that. But I would have liked to see something different. I was definitely hoping. My original vote for the Battle Royal winner was Lacey Evans, but since she was not in it, and they clearly kept her out of it because they knew it was going to be a clusterfuck, and it doesn't help anyone. But once I saw that she wasn't in it, I went with Sonya Deville because I think that she's someone that is being overlooked that can rise up through the rankings and be. She's already a good character. She has a good story behind her, and she's getting better in the ring. Even though I hate her "put your hair up and square up" tagline. I hate that fucking tagline. But that's neither here nor there. Then you have Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder being the Revival. This was a good match to me, but it jobs out the Revival. And they jobbed them out on Sunday, jobbed them out on Monday. So clearly it looks like they're going to get moved in the Superstar shakeup next week. But I only want to see them moved if they get to go up against the likes of the Usos. In my opinion, the tag team divisions should be folded into one division on one brand. Take the women, put them on one brand, or the women are an attraction now, so it would be unfair to split them. But the way the tag team divisions have been treated, they're not as much of an attraction. They're frequently not even used. So I would say it would be a good idea to consolidate them and put them on one brand. So you can have all the teams competing against each other. You can have the New Day. You can have the Revival. You can have the Usos. You can have all of them going after the prize of being tag team champions. I would put it on Raw, actually, because they have 3 hours of content that they struggle to fill with anything quality. So I would definitely like to see that. But Hawkins and Ryder in a pretty good little match got the win over the Revival, which to me was kind of a low point. Same thing with the men's battle royal. It was funny, but by the end of it, no one really cared. Styles and Orton, I thought, was a good match, hard-hitting match. Is it one to go back and watch again? Not really, not in my opinion, but it was good placement for both of them. Absolutely hated everything that Shane McMahon and The Miz did. I'm not interested in either one of those guys. When their music started, I literally sat down and played with my phone for that whole match. I think I barely caught the suplex through the platform on the stage. Barely caught that because I wasn't fully paying attention because I just wasn't interested in it. And what else? If I had my way and if I hadn't just ate, I would walk to the concession stand and grab some food there because it just wasn't. That match wasn't for me. Never a fan of theirs. It's just not for me in any way, shape, or form. So there was that. What else? The Iconics. Everyone's talking so happy about this win for the Iconics. I'm not in that same vein because not only did the Iconics win, but you also noticed that Bayley got jobbed out to Alexa Bliss on Monday. What is it with the WWE and not wanting to keep a title on any one of these women? In my opinion, I look at it and I see two minority women who also are being overlooked, who are great, probably two of the best, easily two of the top 5 best women's wrestlers on the roster. Easily some of the best wrestlers out of, regardless of gender, on the roster, but yet they continue to be overlooked for white women, whether it be Alexa, Charlotte, the Iconics, Carmella, whoever it is, they continuously get overlooked for these women. They put the belts on the Iconics. We are clearly aware that the Iconics are not good from bell to bell stance. They're just not great wrestlers, but they are funny. I can't stand them. I couldn't stand them for the longest time. But yeah, they are funnier than they have been in the past. But I'm just not interested in them. I wasn't interested in either one of them in ring action, even when they were back on NXT. So I am questioning this win and whether it was the right move. I wanted to see the Sky Pirates in this match besides the Iconics so badly, but it is what it is. Once again, Sasha and Bayley are being overlooked for women that fit the mainstream build, and we also hear about the rumors going around about Sasha going through some personal issues, whatever they may be. So I hope that she is doing okay there. But I definitely felt some type of way after the Iconics got that win. Reigns and McIntyre, it was okay, right up there with Styles and Orton. I think, man, I really do believe that the fans are going to start booing Reigns again, and he's going to lose that pop that he gets just for returning from his battle with leukemia. I think that's a bad thing to say, and I understand if it's upsetting to even point that out, but I just think that I think the crowd's going to go back to booing him. I think I would have liked for Drew McIntyre to get this win and be inserted as the next challenger for Seth or Kofi, but he did not get the win. There was no way in hell he was getting that win over Roman coming back from his medical issues. So that's neither here nor there. Corbin versus Angle got the job done. But the two most disappointing matches to me was Triple H versus Batista and Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley. Triple H versus Batista was way too long. It just wasn't interesting. It's just two guys out there that are hanging on to their career, out there fighting it out, and it just wasn't enjoyable from start to finish. The entrances were great. The entrances were awesome, and that's something that you're always going to be. That's something you're always going to get out of Triple H at a WrestleMania. A fantastic entrance. Batista, his music still rocks. He looked awesome. Yes, he can finally fit the role. He also immediately retired again the next day, so I'm guessing he's officially done with professional wrestling. But he did not look. This match just sucked to me, and I hate to say that, but it's Triple H wanting to have these 20, 30-minute novels in between the ropes just doesn't do it for me anymore. And I think, yeah, he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He's he's already in the Hall of Fame once already with DMX, with DX, and I think that he's going to go down as probably maybe one of the top 10 to 20 wrestlers of all time. But this just has got to stop. I'm just not interested in it anymore. It's like The Undertaker. I don't need to see The Undertaker anymore. I'm over it. I'm done. Get him off of my TV. Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley. I do believe WWE has actually bastardized the Demon gimmick. One thing that we wanted to see so badly was what the Demon gimmick would look like getting a WWE entrance on at WrestleMania. We've seen better. It was definitely dark out, which was perfect. The way, I don't know if Balor's being instructed to change up his mannerisms as the Demon, but it definitely it just looked weird. The match was fast. It got to the point of Balor winning the title back, but it didn't excite me for what's next, because we know that whenever the Demon gimmick comes out, he's going to win. Or at least that's how it's been booked right now. But they still do not have any interesting stories to tell with Balor right now. They don't. I wish that they found a way to get Balor back to the Bullet Club gimmick, having him, AJ, and the Good Brothers together, but I doubt that they're going to do that, especially with the Good Brothers. I believe they are not re-signing with the organization, but I wish that that's something that they could get to. But they haven't, and his character has grown boring, and it's unfortunate because we hoped that this wouldn't happen. This is yet another individual brought up from NXT who had a good run within NXT that they just bastardized. And you got to wonder what his career, what his trajectory would look like if he never got injured. But it's unfortunate that even though he got injured, WWE has been unable to find a way to get him back to that point. So this match with Lashley was definitely a low point. for me. So like I said, I didn't want to give a full recap. That's just kind of high level of what I thought was some of the highs and lows of WrestleMania 35 this past weekend. But I wanted to talk about my key takeaways for anyone who may be interested in traveling to WrestleMania in the future. Right now, I think that since I've been to one, I don't think I need to go again. But here's just some thoughts I've had on that. So the first one is always plan for convenience. I don't care. Hold on, let me grab a drink real quick. I don't care where the WrestleMania is going down, where the event is being held. I believe you have to plan for convenience. Get a hotel room and rent a car because you want to be able to come and go on your own accord, and you don't want to be stuck trying to rush home, trying to catch a bus or catch a train, catch a flight overnight. Give yourself a chance to be comfortable because you're going to be in for a long day. So that's my first one. And that's actually my second one as well. Plan for a long day and night. Get there early. For me, I think doors opened at 5 or 4:30 or so. I got there about 3:30, kind of hung out and walked around as people were tailgating and just kind of checked everybody out, checked out the sights to see around the stadium. Plan for a long day because it's going to be a long day, especially if these shows are going to get longer and longer. Like we saw how long this WrestleMania was, and it was just out of control how long this joint is. Don't watch through your phone. I saw a lot of people taping as much as they could, taking as many pictures as they could. I definitely took some videos of some of the things I wanted to see, such as Kofi Kingston's celebration. But don't watch through your phone. Take it in and enjoy the experience because there's a lot to see. And probably one of the funniest things to me is that there was a lot to see in the crowd. The moment I laughed at the most was I was sitting in a pretty good section in the 100 section, and there was a guy to my left who during the pre-show jumps up and he starts doing the Chris Jericho 104, the man of 1004 holds gimmick from WCW from back in the 90s. He's standing there with a long piece of paper, obviously taped together, where he's listing out random moves, doing the whole spiel, but he gets the crowd to chant with them armbar like every five or six moves, just like Jericho was doing. And it was interesting listening to people who obviously didn't watch wrestling then, or aren't really, or who were just there with friends and family and weren't really wrestling fans at all. For example, there was a group behind me, a guy and his girlfriend, and he's explaining to her what the gimmick was and why it was so hilarious. And people are sitting there dying, cracking up. And he gets through probably like 150 holds before another individual dressed up as the current version of Chris Jericho yells at him. Well, not the current AEW or New Japan version of Jericho, but the last version of Jericho that was putting people on the list. He jumps up and starts yelling that he's putting the other Jericho on the list, and everyone burst out laughing. It was a great segment from start to finish. It was hilarious. And if you look around the crowd, you'll see a lot of shenanigans like that. There was another guy that was dressed just like the Undertaker from head to toe. He had people doing double takes. You saw, I saw a bunch of Ric Flairs, a bunch of Hulk Hogan's. It was just everyone is there. Not only is it about the professional wrestling, but it's definitely about the cosplay element that was also hilarious that I enjoyed. Because it was hilarious to watch from beginning to end. So that's something else. Bring lots of cash. Stay on a cash diet. It's just going to be expensive. Food's going to be expensive. Drinks are expensive. They weren't as bad as I thought they would be, but I probably spent maybe like $20 total, and on like 3 trips to the concession stand. So like that's definitely not bad at all. Another one that is really important to me is just be nice to the staff, because the people that are working there are at the stadium aren't getting paid a lot of money. We know that. Be nice to those people that are spending their time to serve you during the biggest WrestleMania or the biggest wrestling event of the year. So definitely take the time to be nice and be polite to those individuals. But That's really my experience. I had a good time. I don't have any real complaints about it, other than my travel back on Sunday, which was a hell on earth. Got to see some family. Got to go up there early, day before, and had a good time. So there's that. But in reality, would I ever do it again? I don't think so, because they're usually not this close to me. So I'd have to hop a flight and travel, and definitely get a room, and all that would make expenses go up. This was only two. It was a 2 hour car ride, 2.5 hour car ride for me. So almost three, but it was definitely worth it, just because of proximity. If I was ever to go in the future, I would definitely spend a lot more on a ticket. I spent probably about $500 on this ticket here. I would definitely have to spend more, closer to like 1,000, to get this. Now, this is another one I just thought of. Try not to purchase your tickets through a secondhand vendor. If you can get online and you have the money available to purchase the tickets when they drop, do that, because you'll get much more bang for your buck. My ticket was, the face value of it was about $250. I paid double that for that seat. So don't get yourself caught up in that foolishness. Try to get ahead and get the tickets at face value when they drop. Would I do it again? Like I said, probably not. If I had to grade my experience, I'll give like a 7 and 8. Should you do it? I believe so. I think every wrestling fan, every WWE fan should experience WrestleMania at least once. I've always wanted to do it. I never thought I would be able to do it. If I didn't do it, I would have sat at home and watched the whole show and had a great time doing it. But I think that it was an enjoyable moment from start to finish, and I will never forget seeing all the people celebrating and enjoying themselves when Kofi Kingston got the win, or when Seth Rollins got the big win, or hearing the people celebrating when Becky Lynch got her win. Those are moments that I will not forget, and I'm glad that I got to experience on Sunday. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and close out this episode 17 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Again, my name is Raphael Garcia, and I appreciate you taking a moment to listen to this content. Please be sure to subscribe to the MMA Ratings YouTube channel. Hit this video with a like and a share, and also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at MMA Ratings Net. You can catch me at rgarcia_sports, where I'm always talking about things like professional wrestling, basketball. We got the playoffs about to start. Usually combat sports, mixed martial arts, grappling, some boxing, and stuff like that. And I'm usually talking about social issues, such as I mentioned, about the gentrification going on in DC right now. And as always, if you do not believe Black Lives Matter, or that statement bothers you, I might not be the person for you to follow. But either way, as always, thank you for checking out our content. And everyone, I wanted to say, have a great day. Enjoy your hump day. Finish out the week strong.